Good morning. I think I know most of you here, but if I don't know you, I am Rhonda Mathis' husband. If you look in your bulletin, the verse, which I had no idea it was going to be here, but let me read it to you. It's Hebrews verse 10:24. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, but encouraging one another. There could not have been a better verse that was laid in front of us here this morning for what I'm about to tell you. And what I want to do is, I'm going to talk to you about small groups. In small groups, I mean those groups that meet outside of our Sunday school, outside of our even just the congregation here, but those things that we do, whether it's the Bible studies that may happen on Tuesday mornings or Wednesday evenings or at some other place in the community, in our homes. Rhonda and I, over the years, have often hosted small groups in our home. But I wanted to tell you the story, most importantly, of why. Because see, with Rhonda and I, when we got married and went off and moved out of state, because we grew up in Texas, we went to graduate school and then moved to New Mexico, and we joined a church there. And I was traveling one weekend, and when Rhonda had gone to church that morning, somebody had invited her to a small group that they met in the home of one of the families. And in fact, there was 4 families that kind of led that small group collectively. And she went, and she called me that night on the phone when I was away and said, "Man, what a great group of people. We're going back next Sunday." And so I was back. We went back next Sunday. And that started a period in our lives where we went to this weekly, and we didn't make it every time, but on Sunday evenings we went and shared those evenings with a group of families that were so influential in our spiritual development. And the reason is there was 4 or 5 families, and we would get together, and it was very informal. Somebody may bring pizza, and somebody bring a tuna and green bean casserole, and we'd put it all together, and we may not have enough chairs. We would sit on the floor sometimes. It was informal. But what we did is we may have had a book that we were studying. Maybe it was a video series. But we shared together. And we grew as a unit. And yeah, we all went to the same church. And we invited some others that weren't in our church to be part of that group. And often over time, those people joined our church. More importantly, those people grew spiritually just like we were at the time. And so as we watched these, and most of these couples that we were with, they were 3 to 7 years older than Rhonda and I. And we got to watch how they raised their kids. And I think what struck us so much is they so deliberately raised their kids to be Christians, to serve. And we saw it in those small groups. We saw that in their businesses. We saw it through our church. And so when Rhonda and I moved here, we thought, man, what an opportunity. What if we could create an opportunity for, one, our kids to see how you can serve in your own home with what you have, but also so we could grow still, but maybe we could have some of that same kind of impact on others. And so, gosh, I think we've done this. We moved here almost 10 years ago. We probably when we've held these small groups, it's usually 6 to 8 weeks. Once in the fall, once in the spring. And we have invited in, probably half the people that come are from this church congregation, some of you in the room, and probably half are not. We try to make it a practice to invite everybody that I work with at the Institute, at the King Ranch Institute. This has been, for us and for my family, a great place of spiritual growth. We hope that it has been for those that have come too, and I think that it has. But I think there's opportunity for us. Because see, we come to, and let me go all the way back to the beginning of that. When we first started in the small groups, that's where Rhonda was first asked if she would teach a Sunday school class. That's where we developed some of the courage, and it takes courage sometimes to step out of your comfort zone and lead some of those things, because I was one of those ones at that time in my life where, boy, I didn't feel like I quite had it together well enough to lead anything at church. And so I was really a church consumer. We would go, and we would be part of the church, but we really weren't serving like we could at the time. And we developed more courage through that small group more than anything else. And so I think there's opportunities for our church. I think there's opportunities for us as individuals to embrace this concept of small groups, to try to not only grow more as those of us in this room, in this church body, but to use that as an opportunity to reach others. If we're going to dare greatly as a church, that is one of the ways that we can reach this community. And those informal events where people can feel comfortable and then grow in Christ, that's pretty valuable. It was pretty influential in our lives, and I know Rhonda wishes she could have been here to share part of this too, because there's a whole lot more to the story than that. But we wanted to share that with you. I hope that as a church, as we look forward and we dare greatly, that this is one of the things we would consider. How can we use small groups, informal gatherings, whether it's in your home, led by your family, or a group of families together that share that, but we can bring people closer to Christ. We can pray together, and we can grow together. I hope it's part of what we look forward to in the future. Thank you.